A lot of people were wondering if ACPT is compatible with Builderius, and I'm here to tell you that yes, it is. For now, you need a little workaround, but it works perfectly in Builderius. Let's take a look. Here we have two custom post types created under ACPT called Book Author and Book Reviews. If we go over to Builderius and then Templates, we can create a template for our custom posts, and we'll be able to add a condition which targets that custom post type called Book Authors or Book Reviews. So we can access ACPT custom post types in the Builderius templates. Next, if we create field groups under ACPT, for example, book fields, we can go ahead and access the book fields. And we'll see we have various types of fields ranging from the regular text field to a date field and so on. We can also access that within Builderius. I'll go ahead and show you, but before we do that, a word from our sponsors. Cloudways is a powerful managed web hosting platform with tons of flexibility. You have the option to choose between Cloudways Flexible and Cloudways Autonomous. For the Autonomous, it is fully managed, so you just put it in and then it auto-scale based on your resources and everything that you need. Or you can have some control, so you can choose between the flexible option and the autonomous option. You have lots of success stories, people who are using Cloudways and they have been happy with it so far. So they have lots of testimonials. You can also choose between using WordPress. You can use optimized WordPress. You can use WooCommerce, PHP only, Laravel. So it doesn't only work with WordPress, it also works with other platforms. If you need that, you can use Magento and so on. And you can decide, let's say we go ahead and choose the optimized WordPress. You just have to give it a name, the name of your server, the name of your project. So let's give the name. And you can go ahead and choose what type of server you want. So do you want DigitalOcean, Voltaire, Linode, AWS, Google Cloud? You can also choose to scale. Let's say you have a high-end e-commerce platform with tons of subdomains and everything. So you can choose to go with the highest end. But if you just have a basic website, you can choose to go with the lowest end, and you just pay roughly about $14 a month, and you can get a good hosting, and it works fast. You don't really need a ton of resources. It is efficient. So even with the lowest resources, everything works quite well. It is also very easy to connect your domain name once you've purchased a domain by just going to domain management and then you click on add domain. You set up the domain name like devden2.com, then you save changes, and all you have to do is now go ahead and maybe make it to be your primary domain, and you set up all of your DNS servers with your domain name registrar, and that's it. You get your custom domain name in Cloudways with so much ease. To get started with Cloudways, simply head over to devdens.link/Cloudways, and you get some bonus. If you go to the pricing, it has really good pricing, so you can get started, like I mentioned, with $14 a month. You can get started, and you can go as you need. You can scale up and get good starting price. I hope you get Cloudways, and once you start using Cloudways, please let me know in the comments if it is good for you. So here we are in our single post template for my book reviews, which was created by ACPT with some custom meta fields. And if you want to access those custom meta fields within the Builderius interface, for now, there is no native way. You just have to apply two functions from ACPT. The first function is called getACPTField, which is used to return a single field. Whenever I want to return just a single field from any post ID within Builderius, we can apply the getACPT field. For example, let's say I'm on a random page or a random post, and I want to return the subtitle from the Dancing with Shadows custom post. All I need to do is use the function to return a single value called getACPTField, and then I just have to pass in an array of key value pairs. To do that, I'll come into my Builderius editor. I'll go ahead and create a dynamic data tag, create a new variable, or call that ACPT field. Now, because it is a function, which is a PHP function, I'll search for PHP function output. The function name is get_ACPT_field. Then the arguments are an array of values. So I'm just going to use the curly brackets, open and close it. And then I'll pass in all of the values from ACPT. The first value we need is the post_ID. I'll put the column, and I'll put in the ID of my post, comma. Then the next thing we need is the box_name, column, comma. And the final thing we need is the field_name, column, and that's it. So those are the three things we did: the post ID, the box name, and the field name. So let's go ahead and now start populating the values. For the post ID, I'll come into my post. You can copy it from the top, or if you have Command UI, you just press Ctrl+K, and you can see copy ID. I've copied the ID. I'll go back to my Builderius editor, and I'll paste the ID as a number. Next is the box name. For the box name, I'll go into ACPT, and where it says meta boxes, that is the box name, the one in bold, that is the slug. I'll copy that name, which I just named as meta. And then I'll go back and paste it. The final thing is the field name. So let's go back into ACPT, and we search for our subtitle, and the field name is just called subtitle. And I'll paste it. Now let's go ahead and say get data. The output is a tale of cultural identity and movement. If we go and test it out, we can see that it corresponds. So that's how you can return a single value, and you cannot use that value anywhere within Builderius. What do I mean? Now that I've created the function, let me give it a nicer name and call it something like dancing subtitle column. And then I'll go ahead and get data. So that's the new name. I can now use it anywhere on the page. So let's say somewhere within the quotes, or I can delete the initial quotes, and then use the dynamic data tag and search for dancing. You can see the name is there, dancing subtitle, and we can return our value anywhere. The other thing is, let's say we're on a single post template and want to always get that subtitle field for the current post. We can change the value a little bit. So I'll go back to my dynamic data, and instead of passing in a static post ID, I can go ahead and first return the ID of the current post by going to the beginning, and then I'll just search for post, because I want to return a value from the current post. And what am I trying to return? I'm trying to return the ID. So now I have the post ID. If I go ahead and do get data, you can see the post ID is returning as the same number, which is 115. Now I can now reference the other variable, which will always get my post ID from the current post. So I'll replace the static value with double quotes, then double curly brackets, and post.id, because I'm accessing the ID within the post variable. If I do get data, it will get the same data because I'm on the current post. But now if I go ahead and save, close the data tag, and switch to another post, you see that the subtitle changes to that of the current post, so it works. But what if you're on your single post template for your ACPT custom post? You don't want to go and be writing the function multiple times, because that's a bit tedious to say get ACPT field, you put the box name, the post ID, and the field name, and you do that multiple times. Fortunately, ACPT has given us a workaround. We can just use the get ACPT fields. We write it once, and all of the fields will be applied into the Builderius UI. Let's see how easy it is. So the function is called get ACPT fields, and all we have to pass is the post ID and the box name. So let's try it out. So I'll come back to my Builderius editor, go into the dynamic data, then you create a new variable. Ideally, you create it as a template level variable because it's going to be sitting in your single post template. Then I can say ACPT_fields, create, and just use the same thing, PHP function, The function name is get underscore ACPT underscore fields. Then I'll put a comma after the name, put enter, and you can see arguments. Because the arguments are wrapped in an array in ACPT, we use the open and close curly brackets, and we'll need the post underscore ID as well as the box underscore name. So the post ID is going to be the post ID for the current post. So I'll search for post, and then I'm looking for ID. So I can now use that variable within the post ID of the PHP function. So I'll use the double quotes and double curly brackets, and then I'll say post.id. For the box name, it's also a string, so double quotes, and the name is called meta. So let me go ahead and copy that, and I'll paste it in. And basically that's it. So I can now call this fields column. Then I'll say get data, and we're getting all of our data. So I can go ahead and hide the post ID. We don't need it. So I'll go to the post at private, get data. So now we have all our fields. We can start accessing the fields. The last thing we need to add to make it easier to access, because currently we're just having the values, not a key value pair. So if you go back to the ACPT function, there is a final function called ASSOC, and that will now make it an associative array, so key value pairs. So you can go back, and that's the final thing to add, ASSOC colon true. Get data, and now you see we're having the function name, so meta underscore subtitle, it gives us the value, meta underscore quotes gives us the value, and that's it. That's how easy it is. So I can now go ahead, close the dynamic data, and now let's say I want to access the quote again. I'll delete what we have currently, go to my dynamic stack, search for ACPT fields, which I think is called fields, and we can now start searching for the quote, and we get it as quotes, which is under ACPT underscore fields. That's the correct variable name. And see our variable. And that's how we can search for all the other values that we need. Simple as that. So yeah, with just a single line of code, you can get in your values into Builderius from ACPT. So thanks to the ACPT team for creating the functions, and to the Builderius team for making it easy to work with dynamic data. If you've enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.